Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel once again. I know it's been a very long time since I posted a video. I think the most recent one was a Pokemon card opening, but I'm back and I'm ready for more. So, what I've decided to do is I made a video about this on my TikTok account, so if you came here from TikTok, then you're in the right place, you're on the right video. And also, before I start telling you what this is about, I'd like to say, please go follow my TikTok account under the same name, James_appreciates. I just make funny Thomas the Tank Engine and comedy/lip-syncing videos and stupid dances, but nothing Charlie D'Amelio, no Charlie D'Amelio dances, just having a good time. So if you want some good laughs, go check out my TikTok account. Anyway, I've rambled on for too long. Anyway, so what this video is about is that I recently, actually today, saw a video by certainly a very good Thomas and Friends YouTuber by the name of James is Here. And I decided to do exactly what he did. He watched a video called Top 10 Scary Thomas the Tank Engine Theories, and this is the video on my mom's computer, and I thought, why not watch the video that he did? I didn't watch the entire video that he watched. I didn't watch his entire video. I haven't watched this video yet, but I thought, why not do the exact same thing? I'd rather watch the video myself and record my own reactions than finish up watching his video, because I want to see how ridiculous this video is, according to James is Here. So let's see how ridiculous this video really is. Let's go. Hello? Come on, turn on. The application is not responding. I didn't even start the video yet. Come on. Whatever, but if you want to look for my TikTok account, it's under the same name, James_appreciates. I have 1,880, over 1,880 followers, so if you want, and just for fun, I'm going to place my own Thomas down here, to show that I'm really a Thomas fan. Come on, Chrome. I'm gonna start using Firefox. Actually, no, I will use Firefox. Because I used to actually like Firefox more than I did like Chrome. Here we go. YouTube. What the heck? I don't need your settings, I need YouTube. Thank you. Darkest Thomas and the Tank Engine episodes there. Sorry about that. I mean, alright, where are you? If you want to find the same video, just search up Darkest Thomas the Tank Engine Theories or episodes, and it'll be the thumbnail with the Thomas as Pennywise thumbnail. Amazing Photoshop, most amazing top 10. Let's see how amazing top 10 this really is. Alright, go back, full volume, well, not full, maybe like 44.
All aboard the train to Sodor, where the trains are mistreated and the town is run by a diabolical man. No, I didn't just make that up.
I'm pretty sure you did just make that up. In Diabolical Man, I have quite a few things tell you, and good theories on my part on showing that Sir Topham Hatt, aka the Fat Controller, is not a diabolical man. And I can't wait to hear what you think about this man. Oh, no. Come on.
That's basically what the show Thomas the Tank Engine is all about.
Okay, no, it's not about that. It's about teaching kids to do the right thing and pretty good character development. Alright. There, that's a good angle.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10.
Really, most amazing.
And welcome to today's video. I'm your host, Lindsay Ivan, and today I'm bringing you the top 10 scary Thomas the Tank Engine theory.
Ooh, let's hear 'em. Can't wait.
So, Thomas the Tank Engine. Another show I would never have expected to be scary.
It's not.
But here we are. Again, let me know in the comments below which show you want me to do a theory on next. Starting off this countdown, we have the tortured train.
Okay. First off, these aren't... Okay, I'm just gonna say this right off the bat. These aren't trains. These are locomotives, and if you count the diesel engines and electric engines and whatever the hell Stafford is, they're not trains, they're engines.
Now, this isn't so much a theory as it actually happens in the show.
No, it doesn't. I can't... Well, or maybe it does, and I'm just being stupid, but I can't wait to hear your theory. Sorry about the light.
So, basically, if these trains are deemed unworthy or are no longer useful, then they end up being scrapped or dismantled.
No, they're not. Okay, we have never actually... There are several things wrong with this sentence. Again, these aren't trains, these are engines/locomotives. Second of all, they don't get scrapped if they're deemed unuseful. In the case of Glyn the coffee pot engine, he was just left on a siding in Farquhar Station and then was just forgotten about. Now, that is sad that he was forgotten about, but years later, or at least in the Thomas universe, years and years later, he was rediscovered and put useful on Sir Robert Norramby, and now he works for Sir Robert Norramby, a.k.a. the Earl of the freaking Island.
AKA, they're killed.
Also, in the case of Stepney, I don't know why he was put in the scrapyard. I can't remember, and even if I knew, there probably isn't a reason. They never told us. But maybe his controller was evil and didn't like him and diabolical and put him in the scrapyard. But he was saved. Every engine that we've seen in the scrapyard that was going to be scrapped, we saved. Old Slow Coach, Stepney, Oliver. Freaking... Come on. Really? And also, Stepney, he was going to be scrapped in one of the episodes because some evil diesels pushed him into the freaking claw, but he was saved by said diabolical leader. And also, this diabolical leader you speak of, yeah, he helped Glyn get a new job.
Throughout numerous episodes, you even see this happen. There was one episode where they literally pulled the train apart into pieces.
That was a truck, so they're pretty much way less useful than the trains. But also, trains, engines. And also, he was being a real jerk. And he wasn't even killed. He wasn't even deemed unconscious. He was ripped apart and later in the episode, built back up and fixed.
They hooked him up to another train, and that train kept going until they ripped him in half.
He wasn't ripped in half. And even if he was, there were two ways he could have. Either he could have been ripped apart from left to right side or right to left side, and he kind of would have just fallen to the ground, or he would have been torn face to back or back to face, where his face would be split apart. That would definitely kill an engine, or even rolling stock for that matter, but he wasn't. He was rebuilt.
Like, how messed up is that? Or you have a train that was turned into a generator and his corpse was stuck behind a shed.
Okay, now I see where they're coming from, but corpse is the wrong way to do this. Or, I guess it's the wrong word, because he wasn't killed again. And also, he was turned into a generator because he was unuseful and kept crashing all the time. So being turned into a generator would have been the perfect thing to do. They would have finally made him useful, and also, he wouldn't have been killed, because destroying an engine would be a waste. Also, there's another theory which is actually true, Most Amazing Top 10. The theory goes was that Duke the Lost Engine, who told the story of Smudger, there's a theory that he actually made that story up, so Stuart and Falcon, aka Sir Handel and Peter Sam would actually behave and not be so silly all the time. So this engine might not even exist. He could have been just a fake engine that Duke came up with. Alright?
There, he just lives motionless for the rest of his life. The trains are terrified of this, or worse things happening to them.
Well, of course they're terrified. They're supposed to be. I mean, I'm pretty sure you'd be terrified of death, or at least the pain that comes with death. No one loves death.
And they live in constant fear.
They don't live in constant fear. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. No. I know where they're going with this. I see this picture. Please, tell me.
In one episode, you have the train named Hyro. Hyro is shown living...
No. Okay? No, 1,000 times no. It's not Hyro. It's Hero. Okay? Hero. Also, this wasn't an episode, this was a movie. So, you've gotten several things wrong there. So, Hyro, or Hero...
constant fear.
It's not Hyro, it's Hero. And Hero, again, this was in a movie, not an episode. Go on.
In one episode, you have the train named Hyro. Hyro is shown living and hiding out in the woods since he is terrified that he is too old and will be deemed useless and then murdered.
Okay, now I don't know when you say and then murdered, I don't know if you mean he's terrified that he will be murdered or if he actually is murdered. If he is murdered, actually I'm going to keep going and then go back.
Or how about the episode where the...
Okay, she's not going back. But also, he isn't murdered, okay? This was in a movie. Let's go back. Let's hear this again.
Named Hyro. Hyro is shown living and hiding out in the woods since he is terrified that he is too old and will be deemed useless and then murdered.
Okay, so that's a reasonable fear. Except the thing is that he's a very old engine and was built, he was the first engine, according to him, he was the first engine on Sodor. Now, of course, you make your judgments because you don't remember your controller. He didn't know his controller very well, and he was, of course he's scared, because he's old, and he doesn't know if he'll be deemed useful. He's afraid that he'll be murdered because, I mean, that's a reasonable, actual fear. And Hyro, no, it's Hero. I can't stress this enough. This is Hero. It's not called Hyro of the Rails, it's called Hero of the Rails. It's a very good pun. So, Hero, in that movie, all the engines started to help them. Except for Spencer, who wanted him to be killed, of course. But then he was patched back up. He was destroyed, but not killed. A lot of his parts fell off. And then he was fixed again. We see him episodes and episode again, working on the railway as a useful engine. He was rebuilt. This diabolical controller was so happy to see him. He rebuilt him. He's not diabolical, he's nice. Alright.
Or how about the episode where the manager of the railway...
controller of the railway
totally harassed the train James. He painted him pink so that people would just laugh and make fun of him.
Okay. So, the pink isn't his coat. It's his undercoat. It's what he was supposed... That's what's going to be under him all the time. He wasn't painted pink so he could be humiliated. That was his undercoat. Later in the episode, he was repainted red. And yes, engines did make fun of him, but now it's just a funny memory to him. Come on.
As a result, James was humiliated and spent the whole episode hiding in a tunnel.
He didn't spend the whole episode hiding in a tunnel. You're getting that mixed up with Henry. And also, of course he was hiding. He didn't want to be made fun of. No engine was painted pink at the time except for Rosie. But Rosie was happy. Of course engines would have made fun of him because it's funny to see that. I mean, come on. Those weren't his enemies. He was just being a pussy.
How messed up is that? Coming in at number 9, we have the psychiatric hospital child.
What? What does this have to do with Thomas?
Now, people have a theory that Thomas the Tank Engine is literally just a child playing with his train set.
No.
I mean, this would explain why there's only one voice for all the characters.
Okay. Not true. In the model series, they all had the same voice. You're showing the CGI part way later into CGI. And the CGI part of the show was created so all the characters could have different voices. It was one of the main reasons why they switched to CGI, so they could have more voice actors and more characters could get more and more dynamic and different voices.
And often it's in third person. It's the child explaining the story.
Have you ever heard of a narrator?
It also explains why the trains talk but don't move their faces, just their eyes.
What? The frick? Of course! Of course, because their faces are freaking stuck into there.
This is also why the human character...
They're freaking stuck into there. Their faces are stuck. Can you imagine how creepy it would be if they could move their faces? And also, in an animation error in the CGI series in Journey Beyond Sodor, while Thomas was talking to Beresford, his face turned this way and then went back to normal. So their faces do move. And their faces don't move because they're freaking planted onto their smoke boxes.
It also explains why the trains talk but don't move their faces, just their eyes. This is also why the human characters remain motionless.
In the model series they did, because they didn't want to use computer graphic animation. They stayed motionless because that's all the Reverend W. Audrey had.
So, people think that this child is locked in a psychiatric hospital and the only toys he plays with are these ones.
Okay. That's not a case of that's not psychiatric hospital child stuff. That's normal child stuff. Pretending that cars can talk, or pretending that trains can talk, or pretending that animals can talk, or pretending that anything that can't talk can talk is a case of movies and literally anything. Adults do this all the time in cases of Thomas the Tank Engine, the Cars movie series, Sausage Party, Food Can Talk. That was an R-rated film. This isn't psychiatric hospital kid stuff. This is normal kid stuff. You know what I'd do as a kid when I had these Thomas toys? I'd pretend that they talk and make my own episodes. Adults are doing this. They don't belong in a freaking mental hospital. It's just kids being kids.
The child has a very sadistic mind and tortures these trains.
Sadistic mind and tortured these trains? What kind of... Okay, that requires hospital help, but if they crash, that's not a kid being... Again, that's not psychiatric kid stuff. Him crashing the trains is just him having fun. I mean, sure, kids have a little minds that are a little bit screwed up, but they're kids. They're little young kids. Come on here.
In fact, the child imagines himself as Sir Topham, the controller of the trains. He then lashes out at the trains, often destroying them.
Okay, we've already gone over the destroying part where he doesn't destroy them, and of course you want to be the controller of the railway. You own the freaking trains. Of course you're going to be the controller. You control them. You tell them what to do, because you own them.
The hospital is trying to get the boy to control his dark thoughts through play, but he can't, so he always ends up killing the trains.
He doesn't kill them.
At number 8, we have the trains are humans.
Shed 17.
Yep, that's right. People have theorized that the trains were once real people.
This is just Shed 17 theories. This isn't... Okay, this is just Shed 17. They're just taking stuff from Shed 17 and calling it their own theories. Come on.
These people are now trapped inside the train's bodies and can no longer control themselves.
Well, they can control... They can control... I'm gonna wipe the screen.
Scientists that had a bunch...
They can control themselves. They can move around at free will. We've seen this happen multiple times.
once real people. These people move their eyes and they can't even speak on behalf of themselves. So,
yes, they can. Yes, they can. They argue to the controller all the time. If they have something they don't want to do, they sometimes lash out in anger. Like Gordon when he doesn't want to carry the express. He gets angry and complains. Of course, he still does it because that's his job. That's like freaking kids' chores or people doing work.
how did these people become trains? Well, people believe that Sir Topham is an evil scientist that had a bunch of henchmen working for him. When these humans were no longer useful, he turned them into trains. And when they're no longer useful as trains, he kills them.
Sir Topham Hatt isn't an evil scientist. Where do you get off saying this? Where's your evidence? And who are these people? These aren't his family. I mean, Shed 17, they turned Tom into Thomas, but he was just killed. He wasn't deemed unuseful. He was killed by a train, so he was turned into a train.
Another theory is that there was an explosion at a nuclear power plant. As a result, all the workers turned into these weird gray blobs with everything being paralyzed but their eyes. Now, in order to preserve them, Sir Topham placed them on trains, and that's why the trains have gray faces.
Where's the nuclear power plant? And the gray faces is used... I'm pretty sure this question hasn't been answered before, but I'm confidently sure that the gray faces are just used so that racism isn't added into the show. I mean, look at Nia. If these characters had actual like real life human facial color, if the characters were white, black, Asian, Indian, etc., many people would complain, and the show would sometimes have to remove characters. I mean, that's what happened with Apu. All the white characters were yellow, and all the black characters were, well, black. I mean, Nia's from Kenya. She's from Africa. You'd expect that her color would be black, but she's gray because she has a gray face so that racism isn't added into the show.
Moving on, at number 7, we have the slaves.
Okay, I can see where they're already going with this.
So, people believe that these trains are slaves. Every day they have to work their hardest to avoid death. They are constantly worrying that they will be deemed useless.
Reused photos, and also, another thing, they enjoy their work. They enjoy the work that they do. Of course, sometimes they're put up with jobs that they don't have to do, but that's just work. I mean, they're not being paid or anything, but I mean, it's not like they're working so that they're not killed. They're never going to be killed because that's why they're useful. And if we've seen engines go on strike. They weren't killed, their strike was shut down, and they went back to work. They were happy when the strike was over. I mean, they weren't happy at first, but then they started doing work, and it all worked out in the end.
Because once they're considered useless, then they're sentenced to death.
That seems like a very not useful railway business technique.
So, they all have been instilled with this fear in order to make them work harder. These trains are literally overworked, and they always...
Sometimes they're overworked. I mean, in the Thomas the Tank Engine Creator Collective series, we see this happen with the diesels because the diesels are trying to derail the engines. Sometimes they're overworked, but not all the time. The only cases when they're overworked is when too many engines are in the works because they were derailed, or when they need another engine to work. And usually the problem is solved with either quick repairs or just another engine, aka Stepney and Oliver.
Have to do as they're told. Sounds like slavery to me. They don't get a say in the matter. It's literally they work or they get killed.
Sometimes they win an argument with a controller over a job that they don't want to do. Either they get another engine to do it who actually likes their job, or they just do it anyway. That's just work. I mean, what if you're working and then eventually your boss comes over and tells you, hey, you want to make a video about trains and horrible theories with terrible research? If you didn't want to do it, instead of having Mr. Henry Jordan doing the work, they get freaking Lindsay Ivan to do it.
Coming in at number 6, we have the apocalypse. So this theory believes that this show takes place in a post-apocalyptic train depot. So apparently this area is the only safe zone out there. In fact, in one of the Thomas books, it reads, engines on the other railway aren't safe now. Their controllers are cruel. They don't like engines anymore.
Well, I mean, those are just evil controllers. They're just mean controllers, because this one is different from the rest of them. I mean, hold on. Get out. I'm recording. So, these are just evil controllers. And this isn't post-apocalyptic world. We've seen engines go on the mainland before. We've seen engines go outside the island before. We've seen Thomas go around the entire freaking world. And, come on. The entire world is safe. There's other trains. We've seen this happen all the time.
They put them on cold, damp sidings, and then they cut them up. How mortifying is
What evidence do you have to back up that they cut them up?
that? And how is that even in a children's book? Now, this town still treats the trains pretty poorly. So it makes
No, they don't.
me wonder, if we think that this is bad, then how worse is it outside of town?
It's very happy and serene. Thomas, this little train, goes all around the world. He goes outside, he goes into the mainland, he goes to Africa, he goes to Australia, the United States. He goes everywhere, and everything is fine. We've even seen nice controllers on the other railways.
We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Thomas's PTSD.
What the?
So, Thomas is probably the most well-known train out there. He's even described as being the cheeky one. But turns out that Thomas actually suffers from PTSD. So, let me give you the theorized background on Thomas.
Oh, please.
Thomas was built in 1915 during World War I. That means he would have gone through intense labor during this time. Then later on, you had the Great Depression, when railways were at their peak in the UK. Again, Thomas was overworked.
Okay. People have created their own versions and stories. Thomas may have been built in 1915. I don't know if that's true, but these are just other people's theories. And maybe if he was overworked and during a war you could get PTSD, but he's just an engine.
Then you have World War II, in which he saw his friends being blown up from bombs.
Who? Who is being blown up from bombs? When? Victor Tanzig, another Thomas YouTuber, created his own version of Thomas and Friends, where two of the OCs that he made, Lily and Colin, were blown up by bombs. But this is just his own story.
Thomas has been through and witnessed a lot. All of these factors has caused him to become traumatized.
Even if this theory was true, why don't the other engines have PTSD? Toby and Edward are 100%. They're obviously older than Thomas. So, what did they go through?
As a result, he has regressed and gone back to his childlike state. This is where he feels the safest, but it causes him...
He's just childish. He's a kid. He's old. He's built in 1915. He's over 100 years old, but engines probably age differently than humans.
Constantly act like a child, and he doesn't know how to stand up for himself.
He's of course acting like a child in certain cases, but he's just being cheeky. He's being a prankster. He likes, it's some people, he doesn't always act like a kid. He acts mature in a lot of cases, but every now and then he'll make a prank, and that's just your childish side going out. It's not being a kid, that's just, knowing your childhood.
Poor Thomas. In our 4th spot,
Oh, poor Thomas.
we have the evil conductors. Now, each train is said to be able to move only when they have a train conductor on board. This was proven in one episode where a train was whipping along fast on the tracks.
Well, because they didn't have anyone to control them. And during the CGI series, we've seen cases where I mean, I don't even know why the controllers are even on the cabs, if the trains can sometimes move themselves and stop themselves and whatnot.
He couldn't stop himself because he had no conductor. Now, the trains are also shown to do some dark things to other trains. Does that mean that the conductors have complete control over the trains and their emotions?
No, in the case of Diesel 10, he stopped being super evil in the Thomas Creator Collective series and in the original show. I mean, he wanted to destroy engines, but eventually he was shut down by the controller.
Well, yeah, that's what some people believe. So, in one episode,
Yeah, some dumbasses.
the trains are at a scrapyard when they decide to bully another train. They're literally...
So, there are some cases, like I said recently, I said in the beginning, Ari and Bert wanted to put Stepney into the scrapyard, but that was just dark. And I'm pretty sure they got in trouble for it as well.
scaring him and pushing him and threatening him that he is going to be scrapped. That means that the conductors were all behind this and wanted to...
They're not behind this. They're not freaking puppets. The controller doesn't control the engines and every single thing that they do, and neither do the conductors.
torment that poor train. Then in another episode, the trains create and execute a plan to basically rip a train in half to teach him a lesson. Why are these...
They don't... Again, that wasn't intended. Scruffy was pulled apart from force. They didn't mean it to happen. It just happened. You know, shit hit the fan.
Conductors so sinister. They're literally forcing the trains to harm each other for their own amusement.
That would, again, seem like a very poor railway business choice. Ripping apart expensive rolling stock just for amusement and having to repair it again for hundreds of dollars seems like a pretty bad idea.
Moving on, at number 3, we have the murderer. So, we've already established that Sir Topham, or as they call him, the Fat Controller, is out of his mind.
He's not... What? We've never established this. He's a mad scientist. I mean, we've never even concluded this. These are just theories. These aren't actual things that happen during the show. These aren't just things that happen.
And the Fat Controller is legit the name that they gave him. I didn't just make that up. They literally call him the Fat Controller.
I mean, okay, that's the one thing I can agree with you. It's pretty funny that they name him after his body size. That's the only thing
But
so far.
people also theorize that he killed his child. So
What the...
in one of the books, it is mentioned that Sir Topham has a son named Charles, but we never get to see him. Then in the episode called Tickled Pink, we see Hat's granddaughter, but not her parents. His granddaughter is having a birthday celebration, so it's weird that her parents aren't present. So people are convinced that Topham ended up killing his son one day out of a fit of rage.
No other parents were at the birthday party, or at least we didn't see any other parents when we saw the children. Maybe their parents were sitting at tables, eating some food, and of course we don't know about their children. Maybe they just don't care about this mumbo-jumbo talking train crap. I mean, we don't see the children, but we've seen his brother, Sir Loam Hat, I believe that was his name. We've seen other family members, but he mentions his child, so what if we don't see him? I mean, maybe he lives far away from the island. I mean, children who are older can live hundreds of miles away from their parents.
Maybe because he knocked up his girlfriend too young. Who knows?
What? And also, use Occam's razor. For those of you that don't know what Occam's razor is pretty much the theory that if something completely something completely out of the ordinary happens, usually the most simple and common thing is probably the right one. Like if you see a strange object flying in the sky, that wasn't a UFO, some kid threw a frisbee.
Then later on, we are introduced to a train named Charlie. And
Oh, don't go there. They don't even have the same name. They're similar, and we barely see him. Come on, really? You're gonna go with Charlie, one of the worst characters in the show?
that's when people theorize that he killed his son and put his soul in a train. In fact,
They don't have the same name. They have similar names, not the same name. And also, I mean, come on. Really? You're gonna say that we never even established that. We never established that humans were actually turned into trains.
Episodes, Charlie is shown to steal the Fat Controller's car. Hello, that happens in like every teenage movie. A rebellious son is mad at his parents and steals his car.
I'm not even gonna argue with this one.
So, yeah, he's mad at his dad for literally killing him and making him trapped in a train.
He could easily run him over if he wanted to. I mean, every train could do that. If they were so diabolical, there are hundreds of trains and just one controller. They could run him over and kill them for all they care. Come on, Occam's razor here.
In our second spot, we have Sir Topham is in love with Thomas. You heard me correctly.
I'm gonna punch this computer.
The Fat Controller has a weird obsession with this train. So, people believe this theory for many reasons.
Oh, tell me at least one of them and I can shut him down immediately.
In one of the episodes, Thomas gets lost on his way to the mainland. Everyone is searching for him, but Sir Topham is the most freaked out.
Of course he is! Because he's Thomas's friend and he's gonna lose tons of money. He's gonna lose a friend, he's gonna lose a train, he's gonna lose tons of money, and I'm pretty sure all of the engines and the controller were as equally as terrified. Losing a friend and losing an engine, losing money, losing business opportunities, that's something of course you're going to be freaked out about. He loves his trains, not romantically, but as friends, you frickin' bimbo.
So concerned that he has lost the love of his life. As a result,
lost the love of his life. He lost a friend, business opportunities, and tons of money.
He gets angry at the other trains, saying that they aren't looking for him hard enough.
Of course. Of course, that's what people say all the time when someone loses something, and that's happened to me before. It happens to everyone. Where if you lose something, like if you lose your friend's favorite toy, and you start looking for it, and you say you can't find it, they always get mad and try and look harder. That's just common sense. It's common for people to do that.
Now, when Thomas is found, Sir Topham throws off his hat and tries to hold back tears. He then says,
because he's so happy. He's so happy that his friend is back. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you lost your friend, if you lost your best friend, and then after who knows how long you find them, of course you're going to cry. Even if they're your girlfriend, even if they're your boyfriend, even if they're your brother, mother, father, parent, cousin, uncle, aunt, grandparent, anyone. If you lose them for a long time and re-find them, of course you're going to be happy and try and hold back tears.
He can always get another hat, but he'll never have another Thomas.
What's the other 500 trains? Oh yeah, Edward, Henry, Gordon, James, Percy, Toby, Duck, Donald, Douglas, Oliver. He owns hundreds and hundreds of trains. Hundreds of trains. Most of them are male. If this theory was true, that would mean Sir Topham is gay. And if he is gay, how come he has a son? How come he has a wife? He has a wife! Lady Hat!
Pretty creepy. He also declared Thomas to be train number 1, because he is number 1 in his heart.
Okay, he was deemed number 1. The reason he was deemed number 1 was because Glyn, the engine I mentioned before, the coffee pot engine, used to work there. But then he was deemed old and not youthful, and he was left on a siding and couldn't work anymore because he was too old. Then he bought a new engine. He had an engine number 2, an engine number 3, an engine number 4, and an engine number 5. But he didn't have an engine number 1. And why would Thomas used to be green and have the number 70, why would he have an engine 2, 3, 4, 5, and 70? Why? So he repainted him in Northwestern Railway Cerulean, or Northwestern Railway Blue, and gave him the number 1, because he was missing a number 1 engine, and he's the freaking title character of the show. Of course he has the number 1. Even if we didn't know the story behind why he has the number 1, he's number 1 because he's the title character.
How sweet. Or creepy. And in our number 1 spot,
I can't wait.
we have the insane tyrant.
Okay, what the hell is that picture behind her?
So, the Fat Controller is the manager of the Northwestern Railway and is officially out of control. He is so
Out of control? How is he still controlling the railway?
manipulative and endlessly tortures and enslaves the trains. That's because he is slowly seeping deeper into madness and losing his mind. Let me explain.
He's not, oh, okay, fine, I'll let you explain.
So, Sir Topham Hatt has given the trains very cruel punishments. For example, there was an episode where it was raining and Henry the Train didn't want to ruin his paint, so he stayed inside a tunnel. Now, the Fat Controller didn't like this and wanted to get Henry out. When all of his attempts to get Henry out of the tunnel failed, he decided to punish him by bricking him in the tunnel. That's right. He built a brick wall so Henry wouldn't be able to escape the tunnel and he would have to live in there alone in the dark for the rest of his life.
He didn't want him to live there in the rest of his life, for the rest of his life. Again, that would have been a really poor business decision, and he'd lose a very powerful and fast, expensive engine. He was just gonna brick him up there, temporarily, until he was eventually pulled out and decided to leave. He was punished, of course. I mean, even after the rain stopped, he still didn't want to get out. That's being irrational and disobeying orders, so of course he was bricked up in the tunnel. He had to be punished somehow, and so that was pretty much saying, oh, you love doing this so much? Well, let's see how long you can do it. And he was bricked up into the tunnel, of course.
What kind of messed up punishment is that? Like, he even said, we shall take away your rails and leave you here for always and always. He ended by
He exaggerated.
saying, I think he deserved his punishment, don't you? Like, he has no chill. Also,
That was the narrator saying that. And, of course, he deserved his punishment. He wouldn't do his job, he wouldn't carry his passengers to their destination all over a little bit of rain, and he was worried about getting it wet. That's being fearful and irrational.
he likes to see the trains struggle. He often withholds useful information from the trains, resulting in them having conflicts that they need to solve themselves.
The reason why he loves seeing them in struggle is because he's mad at them, so they deserve the punishments. Of course they do.
These could have been avoided if he literally told the trains, but no, he'd rather see them suffer. And that's all for today's video.
That hurt so freaking much. The reason why he doesn't tell them what to do right, he wants them to learn on their own so they can learn a lesson. I don't know. Do you believe any of these theories? And if you do, please unsubscribe. You don't deserve to be on my channel. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. I hope you didn't cringe as much as I did. But thank you, and bye-bye.